It or Pennywise nail look for you guys today. It's going to be sort of on the realistic portrait side, cartoon side. So if you guys want to see this awesome look, stick around and we're going to start with a little fill action with Enrich real quick. So I don't know if we can jump in and get like a close up view of the nail just so you guys can see what we're doing today. And then I'm gonna try to see it in the, there we go. So this is the look that we're going for today, a Pennywise look. All right, so I'm gonna start off, my client has nail polish on, so I'm going to just quickly take that off, remove that. I'm using my Mani Passport next, and this is the one with the digital display. So I'm just gonna turn that up so I can, I'm gonna use the middle finger, I think, since it's the widest one. And we're just gonna remove the old polish here. And I'm just taking my Typhoon bit in coarse, and you can see it's coarse because it has the blue band. Each band has a different coarseness, so you can use the proper one for your needs. Okay, just removing all of the polish here. Okay, and I'm going to change the bit from the coarse bit to our enhancement bit, so that way I can, this is what I have here, my enhancement prepper bit. You can see it's a diamond bit, so it's safe to use directly on the nail plate, on the natural nail. And this one's a safety bit. You can see it has the round top. So this is a good one for any enhancements. And for this one, I'm just going to leave it on maybe 5 or 6. And I'm just going to use that to remove the shine from the natural nail and remove the cuticle. So since it has a rounded top, you'll notice that it is removing some of the dead skin on top here and smoothing that down. And this helps a lot with the overall appearance at the end. Just want to remove any of these little lifting areas. And then I'm going to go over the whole nail, just so there's good adhesion on that. You want to make sure you have a nice surface to work with that the product can grip to, because I am going to be using Enrich, so which is a gel product, a hard gel product, but it is soak off, which is nice. So I have my manicure brush here, and I'm just going to dust. And then, do I have a nipper? Let me see if I have a nipper somewhere. Okay, Marco's assisting. I'm just brushing every little dust speck. Oh, there we go. Okay, first of all, and he hands me this. What is that? What kind of live are we on here now? No, this is okay, he's gonna get me the proper nippers, but we do have pedicure nippers. I'm gonna show that to you since he brought them here. What kind of clown show is this? I guess it's the Pennywise clown show. Okay, we do have some nice pedicure nippers. These are obviously too big to use on the nail, but this is good for getting into like the areas with like ingrowns and stuff like that. Hold on, let me grab this. I'm cracking up. So sorry. What is that, like a soldering thing? Okay, we're back.
It looks dangerous.
We're back. Yeah, I know. This is really the Halloween episode because we're in here like horrified. Oh my god. So I have a nipper now. So let me just trim the nail properly. I'm just gonna go around where there's little dead skin and just lightly nip. You just want to take off the parts that are already coming off. You don't want to nip the live skin and cut your client. Oh my gosh. Okay. I feel like I was so frantic trying to find this nipper. Like shaking now, like the pressure is on. The pressure is on here. Okay. Perfect. All right. So let me grab my base coat and oh, there we go. Gel base. And then no, I got it. I have everything else, I swear. Okay. So I'm gonna use my gel base here, and we're going to let me just dust one more time though. Okay. I'm gonna use my gel base and just do a nice thin coat. And I swear this will be quick. And then we'll get into the nail arts because I know that's what you guys came for. But are you not entertained? Sheesh. We're doing all we can here, you see? That's how you know it's live for real. Okay. And I'll have her go in for 30 seconds. Okay. Whew. Getting a little dusty up in here. But, all right. So when you're using your Enrich to fill, if you're doing like hard gel enhancements, like or structured mani, Enrich is a perfect way to just build some strength on your client's natural nail. It is infused with collagen and vitamin E, which are healthy for your nails. It does help them grow. I have a lot of clients who love the Enrich product for that reason. I'm just going in with our Ultra Clear. And I'm just going to take a little bit. And what I like to do is push back towards the cuticle. And then I'll float down the nail plate. I just kind of look to make sure we're even all around. So you're always kind of moving your client's nail just to make sure it's smooth. And then this time we're going to go in for 60. So I'll have her go in for that full 60 seconds for you. Okay. So that's pretty much how you do a backfill with Enrich. So if you already have, again, a client who has a structured manicure, you can just shave down to where the gel is really thin, and then go over with your hard gel again with your Enrich. And that helps keep the client's nails strong and helps their nails grow out if that's their goal. Okay, I'm just gonna prepare for our polish. So what I want to do is get out LA Confidential. We're mostly going to be using this palette, City of Angels, Limo Service, Oscar Night, Orange County, and then a little bit of the Lakers Love are what's pretty much used in the whole thing. The hair is going to be like between this and the black. And I'll show you guys how I kind of get a swirled effect for the hair. And yeah, face is going to be obviously the white, and then eyes and teeth, we're going to add a little bit of the Lakers Love. So not a whole bunch of color. Oh, and then Rose Queen I'm going to use for the collar. And then I'll show you guys, I'll probably mix either Melrose or Valley Girl. We'll see how I can get that sort of look, but I think that's what I used the last time for the collar, and I just mixed it with white. And I'll show you guys the technique that I used for that. Okay, so, just trying to get on my brush here. Okay, so Now we have our nail ready and prepped. As you can see, it is smooth. So you can tell by the glare because this gel is self-leveling. So you can see that it pretty much did the work for me. You see we were kind of like in a rush, frantic, but the nail is still smooth. So that helps out a lot, especially for beginners. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is black out the background. So I'm gonna use limo service for the base of the nail. And we're just gonna go all over. Just like that. A nice smooth thin coat because when we cure we don't want it to ripple or anything. And a lot of the primary colors are, and this is with any polish, I'm sure you guys have noticed, any primary color is going to be prone to rippling because the pigments are so large. So like red, black, white, you know, those colors you have to do a nice thin coat, especially the darker colors too, to make sure that it doesn't ripple. So again, nice thin coat. We're gonna cook that for 60 seconds. And then I'm gonna go in with another coat. But most, well, actually, you don't have to on this look because it's mostly the face and we're gonna go back over with the white to do that background. So maybe I'll skip that step just because it's unnecessary. Okay, hold on one second. I'm gonna grab my soft landings. I put them over here. Oh, and I found the paper towels. Just grab this. Almost up. Okay, so I just need my lint-free wipes, and I grabbed another brush so that way I don't have to keep going and cleaning the brush out. All right, and when she comes out, I will show you guys how I map the face. So when I was looking at this image, because I had it up on my phone. So usually when I'm doing any sort of cartoon or portrait work, I'm looking on my phone and I'm trying to gauge like, okay, how do I want to grid this? If you can put a grid on your phone for portraits or cartoons and stuff like that, that really helps because you can almost then, I don't know if you remember old coloring books, they have like the draw square by square. So you can put the grid over top of whatever image you screenshotted and then just kind of like draw as you go with each little section. And that helps too. But a lot of the time I'm just eyeballing it, to be honest. But if it's something that I'm like, okay, I really want to get it perfect, then I'll take that extra step. But for the most part, I just eyeball. If you're a really good artist, that may come easier to you. But if you're a beginner, again, the grid is a perfect idea to just help you. So with the look, I'll have it here just so you guys can see the top of, maybe put it aside. The top of the character's head, of Pennywise's head, is really large. So he does have a big forehead. We want to leave room for accents on the forehead, the hair to come down, and then, the face is going to be more on the bottom part. So the hair, I didn't really care too much to have it on because at this point, when he makes that change, he kind of looks disheveled. So the hair isn't really as important as when as the face. I think as long as you get the lines on his face, like the eyes and all that, that's really, what's gonna make the character. So there are certain things in doing character art that you want to really focus on, and those are like the main character aesthetic or whatever their signature look is. So for Pennywise, it is like the big forehead, the lines going around the eyes, and stuff like that. So he has like a little widow's peak, and I'm just kind of gonna draw that out. And his head kind of goes wider at the top and then it comes in. So I already know that, so I'm gonna try to utilize all of that top space with the face. You don't want it to be too big because at the same time, you want it to be proportionate. And if you know you're going to have to do the mouth here, you want to just be careful with that. So here and then going down, you know his cheeks are going to come back around. So making room for cheeks and then coming down here for the mouth. And again, it just goes wide to narrow. On this side, he has his neck. So you're gonna just come down on the side like that and then fill in. So now we have the sort of head shape. And if you want to make the head smaller or if you want to tailor certain areas as you're going, you can always carve it back out with black and blend it into the background. Or you can cover it up with hair or stuff like that. As long as the face portion is correct, then you should be fine. So again, we're just gonna come back around and fill in the chin. So everything is completely white. So you just want to make sure it's as smooth as possible. All right. There we go. And then I'm just gonna fill in like a would-be neck right there. Boom, just like that. And that kind of gives you the angle of the face. So what I like to do is I like when I'm brushing down, you can kind of see, and I should have explained this as I was doing it, but I try to brush in the way of the face contours because that helps later for shadowing. A lot of the time, if you can already make the grooves on the face or the neck, you'll know where to shade in. Like this already kind of looks like it's shaded, right? Because I outlined here and then where I did the neck, I kind of feathered more towards where we would add shadow anyway. So that just reminds me, I go lighter where there's supposed to be a separation. So that reminds me, hey, when I come back around this way, make sure you contour that part out. All right, going in for 60 seconds. And then for this part, this next part rather, what I'm gonna do is take the black and kind of shear it out a little bit and draw where I want certain features. So I'm going to take the gel base and let me just, oh, actually, you know what? I'll take this out and I can use the top and then I'll just wipe it down later. So I'm just going to get a bit of black. I'm going to get a bit of black and a little bit of the clear. Just put it on top like a palette. And just use that as like a little mini palette right now. So whatever is on my, sorry, I'm off cam. Whatever's on my brush, I kind of just wiped it down, and whatever's on my brush, I'm gonna use with the clear, and that'll help shear it out a little bit. What I'm gonna do with this next step is kind of make little outlines. So I see here we have forehead wrinkles. I know, okay, let me do some forehead wrinkles here. Like that. And then under that he has like an arch for the brow where the brow would go. on each side. And this is sheared out so that way it's not a harsh line and it's easy to wipe off if I need to like go back in like with the back, and I can just make it like a shadow like that. And that just helps make it look more hollow in those areas. When you're doing portrait work or especially for Halloween, I feel like it doesn't have to be so clean. You want it to look scary. You want it to look, you know, imperfect. I know he has the bridge for his nose here coming down. And then his nose has a little bulb here. And then in the photo, they had little nostrils as well displayed. So I want to make sure I encompass that. So just making sure that I get the contours of his face. So I'm just going to kind of pat this out. Let me actually get a little bit of my cleanser. And I'm showing you just like the process of going back and forth is going to happen. That is just, you know, especially when you're doing portrait work, that's just the nature of the game. Oh, but I think I used black for this. Let me use an actual cleanup brush or a clean brush rather to do. Oh, this one has red. No. Okay, hold on. Let me get a clean brush to do my cleanup. Okay. So I have my French cleanup brush because I'll show you here. I have my French cleanup brush because sometimes you are going to have to go back and just kind of like remove, especially if you don't want a shadow right here at the bridge of the nose. That's where you want to add that highlight. So some stuff you're going to have to, you know, remove just to make sure that it's defined. And that's okay. That's definitely okay. The more you do this, the more natural I feel like it looks. Like you can see the shadows already kind of, you know, coming in, and it's looking more natural or more like a real, you know, shadow. Okay. So I'm going to go back into and define the eyebrow area. Okay, just doing little arches there for the eyebrows or where the eyebrows will be. Okay, so we know where the nose is going to be, and we see he has his cheeks here. So what I want to do is add like that depth to the cheek, and it kind of goes up to the nose area. So go down and around like that on both sides. Actually, let me make this part a little higher. So it kind of goes from the top of the nose over here, and then it comes around like a really round cheek. So I want to make sure I get certain features right, like that. Okay. Now, okay. Now we're going to draw where the mouth will go. We know that there's room for the lips, so I just want to go from here down here. And it goes all the way to where the cheeks would be. It's all the way up and across. And then for the top lip, it goes down in the middle and then connects here at the back part over there. All right, so we're getting there. We're making moves, making moves. So I'm gonna now go into where the neck is supposed to be and just add, and this is with the cleared out black, and just add some shadow. So this is what I was talking about, just kind of going along that line, anywhere there would be a shadow in this corner, stuff like that. All right. Now, I feel like we'll do the hollows of the eyes here. And then I'm going to actually tap out a little bit more of this eyebrow area. I'm just going to leave the shadowing there. And then I'm going to do it more of a stark line with the black. Okay. So now we've done all the shadowing. I like to kind of work in layers when I'm doing cartoon or portrait work or anything like that. So that's why it's kind of like, okay, we're doing the base color, like the whatever face color, then we're going to add the shadowing, then we're going to do some of the stark line work, then we're going to go back in and do refined detailing. So you can go back in, and that's 60 seconds. Yeah, this, I feel like when I did this for the sample, it took me about 45 minutes to an hour. So, yeah, and that's just me kind of like going back and trying to tweak things to see how I can make it better. So, this is definitely a service that you can upcharge for. It does take, like, like I said, it took me 45 minutes. This was my first time drawing it this way. I've done a Pennywise nail before, but it was mostly black and white, a lot of shading. So, this is my first time drawing it with, yeah, drawing it with the color. Maybe I'll leave it. There it is. There it is. Center. Okay. So this is my first time drawing it with color. So when you're doing something for the first time, give yourself time, because you're going to want to try to tweak it, perfect it, whatever. And that can be like 30 to 45 minutes of you doing one single nail art. So if a client asks for something like this, don't be scared to charge, because you are going to be, looking at maybe like a 3 or 4 hour service. Just things to keep in mind. Okay. So now for this, I'm going to add black to my liner brush, the liner side of the brush. And we're going to go in and do some of the finer details now. So what I'm going to do is the eyes. So I know the eyes are right at the bridge of the nose, and I already created the hollows. And I just want to, his eyes are kind of small and beady. So I'm just going to draw the oval shapes or little oblong shapes. Mm-hmm. All right. Now draw the little circles inside so I can give an outline for the eyes. Right? And then we're going to put in the contour of the eyelid. And he does have like a little contour in the photo, so I did want to draw that. And then we're going to do the eyebrow. So eyebrow, a little wider on top, and up high and down like that, because you want it to look angry or scary. So we're going to go a little heavy on the inner corner, and then I'm going to try to do this without blocking, and then go up high, and then come around. I'm gonna do this in two parts because this is the other side of my hand. It's gonna be on the left, so not as dominant. Okay, so now we can again go a little stark on the eyebrow lines. We can go around here with the cheeks. Clean this little edges. Sometimes it's hard to do the opposite side, the left sides. There we go. I know it looks like a mustache right now, but it'll all come together once you add the mouth. So what I did for the mouth was I filled it all in black. And then when I mix the color for the teeth, that's when I go in and actually draw the teeth on top of the black. And this was also a good way to save time on outlining it, even though I did go back and like crisp it up and line it even more. But if you do it really cleanly, you might not have to. Okay, so fill in the mouth all black, just like that. Okay, so you have most of your look coming together. Now, you can put that in for 60. And I'm gonna get out Oscar Night so we can do our nose and our lips. And what I did was I just mixed it with black for the shadow, like, or you can go back over it with the sheared out black, whichever way works for you. If you want it to be a little darker and fill it in, I think maybe the sheared out black will be easier to work with. But that's just what I did. I For the lips, I just kept it like the color. Actually, let me see the Queen Rose this palette because I think I actually used Vintage Hollywood. Yeah, because it is a little darker. I think I used Vintage Hollywood. I'm just going to wipe a little bit of that Oscar Night off, and then I'm going to go in with the Vintage Hollywood a little bit. Okay. And that's okay if you mix too. It's just going to give it a richer red color, which is fine. There we go. All right. So now you're going to outline, and you're going to want to go very thin. So light hand at the top, and then press a little harder as you get down to the bottom, and that'll fill the lip line like that. Okay. Press a little harder, and then as you go up to the top, then you can use a lighter hand, so you can get a thinner line. And then you can always clean up if you need to. So I was a little heavy-handed here on this side. So I'm just gonna swipe that down, clean that up, and then I'll go back in. Okay. This bottom part is a little more square. So I'm going to make sure I add that little squareness there at the bottom. And for also for his makeup on the side, it goes from like the edge of his lips, like the smile goes up high. So that's where you'll see this part on him. and it goes around his cheeks towards the eye, and then not through, but like that, and then flick it up so it comes to a point. Okay, there you go. Okay, just like that. All right, there we go. And let's pop that in. So now we have all the red done. Oh, actually, wait. The nose. The nose. I forgot the nose. Okay. So when I did the nose, I did actually use Oscar Night and I did mix it, but I had a little bit more Oscar Night because it's a little brighter. So you go in with the red and then just do the bulb first, and then come in and do the little contours there. And then you're going to go back in with when it's time to do the fine detailing and just outline that. There we go. Boom. Okay, now all of the red is done. Pop that in. Okay. I know it takes time. It takes time. And the more you do stuff like this, the better you'll get. Really just try to work in layers. Try to create your shape first and then fill everything in. You always have time before you cure to freeze everything. So if you like how something looks and you're like, oh, I don't want to mess that up, just go on ahead and cure it. If you want to do it literally section by section, like I said, the grid format is always perfect. You know, if you want to start off with the top of the head, I know some people like to start with the eye and move out, or the mouth and move up. You can do stuff like that. So, you know, there's always room to kind of tweak it before you move on to the next step, or fix the shape. And I can always add the forehead because I feel like the forehead's a little small on this one, but she has a shorter nail obviously than the sample nail. So we can see the face is smaller. I made the face smaller, but the forehead proportion is a little different. So I'm gonna probably add more white here and then just add the hair flicked around it. So that's another way you can do it. If your client has a really short nail overall, you can just paint it all white and then just draw the face completely and don't even worry about the hair. All right, now we're gonna do Lakers Love, and we're gonna start using the City of Angels. And I just use like the tiniest dab of the yellow. And let me get some white. Da, 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 da. For the teeth, I'll make them a little more, oh, I'll show you guys here. For the teeth, I'll make them a little more yellow. Or actually, maybe I'll do for the teeth, I'll make them a little more white, and then the eyes, I'll make them more yellow. That's what I did. So it should be more pastel for the teeth, just kind of giving a dingy look. So still more on the white side. Now, what I do for the teeth is, what I did was I started with the two like front, and I just pressed. I pressed and then I flicked. You just press and then you flick. And this character has teeth all through the mouth. So in the original picture that I saw, um, the teeth kind of go like all the way back. So you can just do as many as you can fit in, like that. And then we're going to do some going up. So I'm going to add some down here. And then we can always go back in. This is why I say you can always layer. I'm going to go back in and do a little more white around here and then a little more red just to fill that part in. And then we'll outline again with the black. So now for the eyes, I'm going to add the more yellowed side. So this does have, it still does have a little bit of white on it, but it's mostly yellow, but not just the color alone. You do want it to stand out some though. And then I'm just going to fill that in with the eyes. So give it a really creepy look. Ooh. Boom. So it's starting to come together now that we see it, right? I am going to just take a little bit of the red and correct the mouth. So this is what I was talking about when I said you can correct. I'm going to go back around here and square the jaw out so he doesn't look so wonky there. And still has that like aggressive, like mean look. And then we're going to come in and just add a little bit to the mouth on top. And then push that back. Okay. Just like that. Okay, you can go ahead and put that back in. And when you're doing this for yourself, you're going to have time. You're going to be with your client. When they ask for this stuff, let them know, like, hey, it is going to take a long time. So you're not going to feel like, oh, I need to, move. But if you, again, if you do want to just strip it down and do just the face, like don't add the hair or the collar or anything like that, that would make it easier too because it's mostly just a white nail. Then you don't even have to paint it black. You can just paint the nail white and then go in from there and just start doing the face, but that will help strip it down also, less pressure and less time. But yeah, because this has a lot of like shading and shadowing, so again we're going to be doing a lot of back and forth back and forth because I'm going to add to the jaw also because I see on this side I made the jaw really small. So when she brings her nail out, I'm going to show you. So on this side I did the jaw kind of small, so I can go back in and correct that because we want the cheek to come out. We want the jawline to be noticeable because he has more of a square jaw like that. That looks better already. Yeah, like that. And that gives him more of a fearful or a intimidating look versus having too narrow of a jaw. You don't want him all slack jawed, like looking like Bob's Burgers. Just cleaning up some of the areas. Cleaning up some of the areas here. And kind of imagining the neck is right there. So you see how I just kind of swiped right here, and I didn't draw that black. I just went right under where the black was to create an illusion of like the chin. You can do stuff like that too, just to help create that illusion. Okay, so now that we've got the mouth a little more cleaned up, we can pop that back in. So you see how that opens up his face a lot now that we have the jaw a little bit wider. And that's kind of how it is. Sometimes the proportions are off when you are starting, or when you're thinking, oh, I have more room than I do. That's okay. You can always expand it out a little later, and then just fill it in with the facial color and then go back in and do the shadowing. No big deal. No big deal. So for the next part, we're just going to be using black again. And then we're going to go in, clean up the teeth, and then draw the details around the eyes and add some shadowing around the side of the face. And I'll try to, oh, you know what? I should have actually did the forehead a little bit there too while I had the white, but I'll come back to that before I do the hair. Okay, so now just going in with my liner brush, and I'm trying to load the brush by just picking up, this is how I do it. I load the brush, I just kind of make sure that it has product on it, but it's not gooped on. Like all of the bristles are wet with gel, but it's not, um, a glob. If you're not doing like a large area, then you want to thin out the polish on the brush just to make sure. So I'm going to add some more black to the top lip. There you go. So you can get that hint of red, but there's some more black on it just to add that dimension. And I'm going to go back around the teeth. And I don't know if you can, I'm going to try not to block it, but basically I'm going back in between and just separating each tooth. Drawing nice thin lines to define each tooth. Just in the places where I feel like they might be touching a little too much, which is not in a whole lot of areas, but still. And then I'm going to outline this side to give a shadow. Like that. And come around. All right, perfect. Now we're going to go in and around for the pupil, go in the eye. And you're just going to want to draw like a circle. Just like that. All right. And then I'm going to have her put this in. We're getting there, almost there. I'm so excited. This is so cute. I mean, well, cute relatively. Like cute because I'm doing a good job. It's supposed to be scary. It's supposed to be scary. People were like, "Ooh, jump scare" in the comments, and I was like, "Sorry, okay, my bad." Yeah, they were like, "Put a warning next time." I was like, "Hey, I just do the work, okay? Blame Marco. He posted it." All right, and then we're gonna go back in with the white, and I'm going to just add little tiny dots in the eyes to add like the glare. So just right at the top, just a little boop dot. Boop. Just like that. Nothing crazy, just a little glare for the eye. And then I'm gonna fix the forehead while we're here too. So just adding a little bit of the white there. Okay. Just like that. And when I did the collar, I'll show you guys. When I did the collar, I just kind of like, there's no room for it on this nail, but I'll show you here. When I did the collar, I used this liner brush and I had white on it already from like Well, I knew I wanted to do the collar. So I had white on it already. And what I did was I dipped into, I want to say Valley Girl, and I just like kind of had it like this, like white with the color on, and then um, kind of like took some of it off, but I still had, you know, pink and white on the brush. And then I lightly just kind of did little strokes so it could be streaky. So this is really just the liner kind of stroking like that. So when you're I'm trying to see what I can do it on to show you guys. Oh, okay, I'll just show you on here. But when you're doing it, you have your pink on one side and the white on the other side, and then you just kind of go in and you lightly just stroke it like that, like kind of flat. And you see how it already kind of looks streaky. It's not too stark lines, like the lines are not so harsh. That's just how I did the collar. I don't know if they can zoom in more. But you see, the collar is just that, like little lines that are in the shape of ruffles. So I did them in a little bit of a triangular motion going outways. And then I kind of lightly, you know, made an edge. So I'll show you one here. I don't know if they can zoom in more. Okay, yeah. So you see, I just kind of did strokes that were in like tube formations, and then I kind of went around lightly and just kind of made ruffle edges around them. But it's just me kind of stroke lightly so it could be patchy looking. And then I had pink on the brush already, so some areas on the edges had pink. And I just kind of I didn't want it to be so perfect because even in the picture, it was like it looked dirty. You know, when he makes this transformation to the monster side of him, everything's kind of tore up. So it wasn't like super perfect or anything like that. And I wanted that to reflect on all of the parts of him, like the collar and the hair and all of that. Okay, so now we've got pretty much the face and everything all done. I'm gonna do the shadowing or the hair and then the shadowing, and we're pretty much done. I used Orange County, and we can use Vintage Hollywood because his hair is red. Um, and we just kind of want to, and I'm mixing this in the pan, but maybe put it to the side because it's better if you have it to the side. But it is dark, the hair. So I didn't try to mix it smoothly. Anytime that I'm mixing, you see there's still streaks of like whatever color. That's kind of how hair looks. That's how wood grain looks. That's how certain things look where it's streaky. So when you're thinking of an item, you want to try to use your paints to your advantage in that way. So if you're doing a wood grain or hair, don't mix it and blend it so smoothly. Make it to where, okay, we can see there's little streaks of black. I think if I add black, you'll be able to see it better. But there's like orange, there's black, there's, you know, red, like that. It's it's not perfect. It's like streaked. I don't know if they can catch it. It's so hard to catch with the, you know, but when you're doing it, you understand what I'm saying. Like there's still brush strokes within this. It's not super perfect. So I'm just gonna go around the edge and do hair like strokes, basically. Hair like strokes all the way around, just like this. And the paint is gonna do the work for me. The paint is gonna do the work for me here. And go around and around and around where his hair would be. Just like that. try to add some hair here. Just going down and around, down and around. Oop. I don't think that dried all the way, the white. Did it? Oh, we didn't go in, my bad. After I did the white. Okay, sorry about that. That's okay. We're gonna brush it back. We're gonna brush it back. And then I'll go in the lamp and then we'll. But this is okay because this is how his hair looks. Again, I use the brush strokes to my advantage. Go ahead and put this in, sorry. I forgot to let her go in afterwards. But it's okay. This type of stuff, again, it doesn't have to be super perfect because you're talking about hair, you're talking about a disheveled character. So you can always kind of manipulate how you want the hair to come down. If you mess up a little bit, you can go back over it and just stroke it out and, you know, give it the curl that you want, cover over whatever that old curl that you had, or remove, and then start again. No big deal. I'm gonna let it cook for the whole time because I've also been like stopping it so we can, because the eyes, it's only like a little bit of color, so you know you can flash cure some of this stuff like 30 seconds. It doesn't have to be 60. If it's a large area, yes, go for the 60. But if it's just like, okay, I did the eye color, you can put that in for 30 so you can do the other detailing because you're going to keep going back all the time and then it's going to finish curing. So don't worry about it. Don't be so you know, anal all the time. Okay, so now going back, thin strokes, thin hair like strokes, and add some curl over here. Make it really like he's, you know, his hair is all over the place. In the photo, it was mostly on this side, so I'm just gonna stay true to that and, and make it like messy a little bit on this side. Just like that. Okay. Add a little darkness so that it looks like the hair is coming down. Just like that. So, whoop, there we go. Just a little messed up hair, like it's falling out of place. Just like that. Okay, and I'll put that back in. And then I'm gonna just tap in some shadowing on the side and by the neck, and then we're done. That's pretty much it. That is it. That's it, that's all. So I'm gonna tap in the black and the clear while we're waiting for her to cook. I'm just gonna mix a little bit of the black and the clear so I can smudge some shadowing. And I've seen this where it's just the face and then they do an emphasis on the eyes and they make the whole matte, like the whole nail matte with like the face and all that stuff. And then they put clear right in the eyes and that kind of pops it out too. If you want to do something different like that, that's a cool way to change the look. I would recommend that if you're doing a more close up kind of look. Okay. So I have the clear and I'm just going to kind of go around the edge and add some shadowing. So anywhere that, you know, you want to have some shadowing. Right there. And then down by the neck, add something right here. And down the back side. And then a little bit right there, the front. that and wipe the excess off. And then you can come back in and just kind of, you know, pull it towards the center or tap it a little bit to feather it out. And then like cast a shadow on one side. Just like that. See? There's more shadowing on this side now. Boom. And then I do want to add a little bit more shadowing under the eyes. And I'm going to go back and define the nose just a smidgen. So, because the bridge of his nose was a little more defined in the photo, and around the nose was a little bit more defined. So just tapping out places where there's shadow. Under the nose there would be like a shadow. And there we go. Like that. And there you have it, a little Pennywise. And then you can, oops, you can go in with the black also. And just kind of add more definition to the hair because I want to add a little bit more hair-like strokes there just to emphasize. The more layers you add, you know, colors and adding the black for contrast and stuff like that, the better the design is going to look. So just keep that in mind. Yeah, keep that in mind. Okay, I think that's pretty good, if I do say so myself. I mean, and like I said, the more time you have, the more you can clean up and touch up. Like here, I want to just kind of touch up this area, clean that up. And see, it defines that part. So now we'll go back in the light and then we'll do top coat and be done for real. Okay. Was that easy or was that hard? I feel like since it was my second time, but you know what? Because we started a little late and we were all frazzled, I think maybe it was harder this time. Because when I did the sample, I was just like by myself. And you know, when you're zoned out, you can kind of like work. And I only have an hour here. And I know I said it took me like 45 minutes to an hour, but I wasn't like stressed about showing you and like moving my arm so that it wouldn't block you guys. So when you're doing it with just you and your client and you're kind of zoned out and listening to music or just like letting them chat and tell them and let them tell you their life story or whatever, you're probably gonna find that it's easier than you think. Because I know it looks hard, but like I said, the more you practice, the more you do it, the better you're gonna get, the easier it's gonna get for you to do some of these characters. Because drawing is really a learned skill too. There's some people who are naturally artistic and they can do certain things or they can see something and just automatically copy it. Their brain works like that. But art is really a skill, like a learned skill. The more you do it, the more you practice techniques, you're going to be able to do some things that you probably never even thought you could do. Like I've seen a lot of artists on TikTok, you know, they always tell you like where they started and where they're at now. You can see that like not everybody was like the best, you know, drawer or artist, whatever. So I'm gonna go in with my top coat and I'm just gonna use gloss top coat and do a nice thin coat. Just like that. And then we're gonna put that in for 60 seconds. Okay. Let me check the time. Ooh, we went 13 over, but I think we started like 10 late, right? So we're just trying to make sure we don't skimp out on the hour. Because we love you guys and we want you guys to learn. Yeah, I don't know what was going on. It kept kicking us off the live earlier. That's why it was taking us a little while to start, but we figured it out. Mark always figures it out. He's like, of course. Okay. I don't know why I grabbed this. My comfort file. While we're waiting, we're all just patiently waiting. That's like the only thing. It's just like waiting for it to dry. And boom, you're done. So here we have the finished look. And I'll show you guys the sample. Because again, it was a longer nail. So that's why I was able to fit in the collar. But you can see it's still pretty like, and this is scary for, you know, just the face. The teeth and the eyes really pop. And with the eyebrows, it gives that like really menacing look. So yeah, that's cool. All right. So if you guys try this design, please tag us so we can see and, you know, see if you guys try the technique. And if you guys enjoy our lives, drop a comment and let us know. Definitely comment, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. All right. So we went over the time. We're sorry about that. But again, like I said, I really wanted you guys to learn some of the techniques and, you know, see how to do like more cartoon or portrait work. So thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate it. All right, get scaring. Let me see your designs. Bye. Sure.